Alright everyone, thank you for those who've stuck with me. It's been a rough finals season in college, but here I am again, talking to you guys about some airsoft gas blowback goodness. Gameplay will be up soon. I'm going to Valkyrie tomorrow, the 9th of December, I believe. I don't remember the date. But anyway, by the time this video is up, it will be tomorrow, or I'll be going tomorrow to play airsoft at Valkyrie Airsoft in Cedar Creek, Wilmington, Ohio. So, with that being said, this is kind of like an updated review on the LM4 KR7 and the MP7 by KWA. They're both gas blowback. Just going to share some of my knowledge, little quirks they have, things you need to be aware of. Kind of like a beginner gas blowback guide. Also, if you are a beginner airsoft player and you're thinking about getting gas blowback airsoft guns as your primary, please don't. Just please don't. I would prefer for you to stay in the sport. So with that being said, just stay away from the gas blowbacks as your primary. Secondary, that's cool, but don't get them as your primary. You will be so frustrated and you'll just want to quit, I would imagine. Maybe you guys have more patience than I do. But anyway, so the thing about this guy, the LM4 KR7. So a couple problems this thing had at first. One, it was shooting about 470 feet a second with .2 stock when I first got it using propane. That shouldn't happen. So my dumbass tried to disassemble the bolt, and I'll put up a picture of just how badly I messed up the bolt, and what KWA did is a little joke. You'll see that in just a second. But they sent me a new bolt. I had to pay them for it because I messed up. With I was shooting about 350 with .2s stock, which that's what I wanted this for. I want this for CQB. I'm not too big into the woods play. I mean, I like it, but if I had the option, it would be like an urban style CQB kind of thing. Not like Tac City, but like Game Pod Combat Zone. So with that being said, this thing was so finicky when I first got it, and what I didn't realize was these have a break-in period, most definitely. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you can kind of see where the bolt's worn away, some of the spots in the breech. When you first get this gun, you're going to have to clean it every half a day or a day of playing. And I mean that. Like, you can be shooting as conservatively as I am. I typically go through a magazine in a CQB game, about 30 rounds. And you will still have to clean it at the end of the day. And I don't mean just clean the barrel. No. I mean, you're going to need to pop this receiver open. You're going to take out every single tiny little thing and scrape off the mounds of shaved metal on there. Now, once you get past the first month of using it, it's going to be awesome. Okay? I went to Devil's Playground a little while ago, and the high was 55 degrees that day, I think. And I used this and some red gas. I'll get to that in a second, the different gas types. But I used that and some red gas, and this thing performed beautifully. It was going 350 FPS with a .2, reaching out, touching people, no stutters. I didn't bring my GoPro that day, sorry, but Devil's Playground, in my opinion, is not the best place to film airsoft footage. There's way too much brush. Can't really see what I'm shooting at there. And so, with that being said, once you get past the break-in period, everything's pretty nice. Now, also, the hop-up. I don't know if you guys can see it. I can barely see it, so you probably can't. But there's like a little, you can look up pictures of it. There is not a wheel, but kind of like, looks like that. It goes over where the BB sits in. And if it's like this, the hop-up's off. If it's like this, the hop-up's all the way on. That's the best way I can describe it. And there are little teeth. There's a little tool that you're supposed to use to adjust that. You will break every one of those little teeth to adjust the hop-up wheel if you use that tool. Like, it's just inevitable. I don't care what anyone says, you will break those teeth. So it's probably not the best for the hop up, but once you get it set, you need to leave it there. Trust me, don't mess around with the hop up too much. Once you find the weight that you want to use and it works well with the gun, just stick to it. Trust me. So what I do, if I ever have to adjust the hop up, just get a knife, turn it to where the blade is facing towards the gun, and just kind of do one of those. That's how you adjust it. Or at least in my opinion, that's how you should adjust it, because otherwise you're just going to break something probably. Don't like really muscle it, you don't want to snap it. You can. But yeah, that's the best way in my opinion to adjust it. When I first got this, not only did I mess up the bolt, but I messed up the hop up too. And if you have to get to the hop up in here, if you don't know how, it's the most frustrating thing ever. So, not right now, get off. So you have to take off the gas block in there, which I don't have on there right now, I don't like it. Gets in the way. And you have to get one of these. It's not even labeled on Evike as an LM4 tool. It's like a PTS MKM something. It's like ridiculously priced. This tiny hunk of metal is like $20. Goes over like this, and it goes all the way down. You have to take off the rail system too, by the way. And then you take a hair dryer or something. You get this right on here, really hot with the rail system off. Slide this over the barrel. You get a vise or a big ass pair of pliers or something like that, and you finally break through the Loctite. And you can unscrew the barrel nut, take the whole barrel off, and then you can work on your hop up. This hop up is one of the most frustrating things to work on. Trust me, you don't want to do it. It's not common to have to work on the hop up, but if you ever have to do it, you're gonna need one of these. Trust me. With that being said, I have a garter bucking in here right now because the KWA-1 tore. That's my fault. That's not KWA's fault. Trust me. I didn't know what I was doing at all. But if you ever take the barrel nut out of here, when you put it back in, wrap some Teflon tape around the threads. Otherwise, this barrel, it's going to free float, and it's just going to be wobbling all around after a couple days of playing. Now, right now, it's rock solid because I have the Teflon tape on there. But if you don't, trust me, it's going to start wobbling mid-game, and then your shot's going to go all the way over there instead of where you want it to go. Another problem I found, this is a real noob mistake, but I over-lubed my bolt. You don't want to do that. You want it to be just, not barely lubed, but you don't want to be able to wipe your finger on there and it just be covered in lube. Because otherwise, it's actually going to have a rougher time cycling the gun than it would with it bone dry, essentially. So that'll actually decrease your gas efficiency. Which is a big problem where I am. In Ohio, gets cold, gas efficiency is a problem. My recommendation to you is if it gets under 60 degrees when it's sunny, do not use propane in this gun. You won't get 30 rounds off like you want to. It's going to slow down. There's going to be some cooldown effect on there. On Evike, there's this thing called red gas, and I know it says "we" on there. In the gas blowback world, that's typically a bad thing from the people I've talked to. But their gas is wonderful, because what this is, you can put this in any gas blowback magazine that's not CO2 when it gets colder, like below 60 degrees, and it will function like propane in 70, 75 degrees. That's been my experience with it. On a full can of this red gas, I can get 2 mags easily when it's about 50, 55 degrees, which is wonderful, because on propane, that doesn't happen. Trying to think of what else there is. Yeah. Oh, also, if you have to put this gun in a vise, don't use the magwell as the vise point. Trust me, it'll get a little bendy in there. Then you gotta shave off little parts of your magazine. to be able to fit the gun a little bit better, because now it hangs up if it's a normal magazine. It's fine, doesn't really affect the performance of it, but it's just a little extra work. As for lube, don't just use WD-40. Please don't use that. Evike sells high concentration silicone oil. For airsoft use specifically, it's just silicone oil. As far as I can tell, it's best for the O-rings and airsoft guns. You want just like the gel silicone stuff, and then you want the spray. You want the silicone spray too, because typically, if you just use this to lube your bolt, you can do it effectively if you know what you're doing. But for some places, it's easier and better for your gun if you just spray a light coat over there. As far as the magazines go, I haven't had many issues at all with the magazines. The one thing I would tell you to be careful about is the feed lips. They're not fragile by any means. If you drop them on concrete like I did, they might fracture. But I would say just buy 1 or 2 feed lips once you get the LM4 to just be preventative, just so that you're not down a mag come game day because you dropped it on concrete or whatever. Also, the fill valves. This is the part, in my experience, that has broken the most out of anything that I've played airsoft with. So typically that can be resolved by just taking a flathead screwdriver, tightening it in a little bit. But sometimes it can't. So as soon as you get an LM4 or any KWA gun, because these fill valves are all universal across every single KWA magazine, just buy like 3 or 4 of them. You're not going to use them within even 2 or 3 months, but just buy a couple of them just to be preventative. I think they're like $2 or $3 a piece. Yeah, they're $2 or $3 a piece, and they work well. You just degas the mag, unscrew it, screw the new one in, you're good to go. As far as magazine maintenance, because I use propane, not really stuff with silicone in there, just take your little spray a little bit in there and right there, and that's done the trick for me. I haven't had a major leak in any of these magazines ever, so that's nice. Now, I didn't want to go over the MP7 too much because I have a feeling KWA is stopping the production of the KWA stuff on their pro shop. A lot of these parts are out of stock. The MP7 itself is out of stock on the pro store. On Evike, you can still get the KWA MP7 because I'm sure they have a massive amount of them. But I think since VFC started producing the MP7 Navy for Elite Force, they're kind of phasing out KWA. That's my theory, at least. So any parts you can get for the MP7, if you have one, I would get as soon as you can. If you need a CQB bolt, hop on eBay or Evike or whatever, get a CQB bolt. And you're going to need it. Trust me, these things shoot really hot stock. Speaking of shooting hot, one of the reasons I found that KWA gas blowback shoots so high, and they overhop a lot of their BBs. It doesn't say it on the packaging, unfortunately. I was counting on that, but whatever. But if you go on Amazon and you look at Valken or Elite Force BBs, the dimensions of them, give or take a little bit, will be, because there are just some discrepancies with BB manufacturing, but the dimensions will be 5.95 most likely millimeters in diameter. KWA BBs are like 5.84 millimeters in diameter. So that's one of the reasons why some people can't get below 350 FPS on their gas blowback KWA guns, and that's some of the reasons why they overhop so much. Like, the hop-ups are super sensitive if you're using normal BBs. These work amazing in KWA guns. The KWA BBs, flat out, I think the whole guns are designed around these BBs. And they're not expensive. They're not that overpriced, really. I think this bag of 2,200 BBs was like $12 and they're 0.3 BBs. So it's not overpriced, just be aware if you're having those issues like I did. Like it used to be my hop up was turned all the way off and I would slightly still over hop 0.3 BBs, 0.3 Valken BBs. With these I had to turn the hop up almost all the way on. And let me tell you what, I think it kind of has the effect of like an Orga barrel on a Polar Star, because when I went to these BBs, maybe it's just the quality, but I got more range and accuracy with about a 30 FPS drop. So I don't know how those physics work. I'm not that smart of a dude, but the KWA BBs, use them in the gas blowback KWA guns. Trust me, it's well worth it. But yeah, as far as the MP7 goes, if you're a beginner, and, well, not a beginner, if you're a beginner gas blowback player, get something like the MP7, something with a light amount of recoil. Not much recoil at all. This thing, it's kind of like shooting a high FPS AEG when you shoot it, honestly. It has almost no recoil. And that's a good thing for beginners because it means you have to clean it less, parts break less, all that fun stuff. But when you really want to have an M4 and you want it for training purposes, airsoft isn't training in most cases, but if you really want to practice like the movements of the bolt stop and having a little bit of recoil, this thing has recoil of like a 22, by the way. It's not much. But it is enough to throw off your aim a little bit, so there's that. But my whole thing is just, if you're a beginner gas blowback player, get something like an MP7, an MP9, something that's been out on the market for a while with not a lot of recoil. Those are just the easiest ones to maintain, clean, use. They're typically more accurate, I've found too. They have less cooldown, better gas efficiency. The only real advantage of using an LM4 with the MP7 is this is more fun because it kicks harder. That's basically it in my mind. So of course I use this one. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Gameplay will be up sometime next week.